things to get a dark and gritty reboot. Archie Comics did. It's a show called Riverdale and it's on the CW. And I've never watched it, but I did read Archie Comics quite a bit growing up. And I find that interesting. It's a franchise that's lasted quite a long time. It goes back to Pep Comics in the 1940s. And the funny thing about Archie Comics, for those of you who don't know, the plot is about a love triangle. It's about this average guy named Archie. He's got two beautiful girls in love with him. One is a sweet girl next door named Betty, and one is an exotic rich girl named Veronica. And he can't decide which one he'd rather date. That's pretty much the plot. And then there's a bunch of other side characters as well. Now, he always says he loves them equally. He doesn't. It's so clear he prefers Veronica. And my favorite character was actually Jughead, his best friend, because everyone else in this story has their relationship troubles. Jughead wants none of that. He thinks it's too complicated. He'd rather just have his burgers. His thing is his family, his friends, food. I like that. I like that he kept his life conflict-free and simple, especially because I know in the long term, I don't think any of these relationships are going to work out. But that's just me overanalyzing. I think it's lasted so long because it has a simplicity and a likability to it. Now, the Betty and Veronica dynamic can be applied to a lot of decisions you make. Now, the Betty being the safe, nice, stable option, but kind of boring, versus the Veronica, which is exciting and interesting and passionate, but chaotic, unstable, not always the best for you. That can be applied to a lot of decisions you make. Interestingly enough, Archie Comics also are not very good at keeping with the times. A lot of it, at least for what I read, felt like it was trying to be hip, but for some reason, it didn't bother me as much as it does in other forms of media. For some reason, it seems like it's part of Archie's charm. Because they have lasted so long. They have adopted trends from over the decades, which is pretty cool. I know they recycle stories a lot, but that just means it's going to be new to somebody else. And they change the art style once in a while. They do go in different directions, and they do new things with these characters, which is really cool to see. It is a franchise. It's kind of like Scooby-Doo that way. It's lasted for so long. It is very nostalgic. It is going to keep going. Now, the main plot is this love triangle. I never really got into love triangles all that much. I can see the appeal to some people, and I don't mind it as much when the whole story is about relationships. But for me, there's only so long I can see it. I get that some of it is a fantasy you can place yourself in and imagine, two people fighting over me, but without having to deal with some of the consequences that come from that. So I could see this being a very safe option. I mean, Twilight, Hunger Games, they're pretty similar that way. How I Met Your Mother, very similar. There's love triangles there too. Rom-coms, that's pretty big. Whereas I tend to find that love triangles slow things down in an action story. But that's just me. I mean, we all have tropes we like, we all have tropes we don't like. But I can see how it's fun to overanalyze without having to make these decisions yourself and not be so stressed about it. For example, honestly, Betty's better off without Archie anyway. He kind of likes overanalyzing this character. He seems like the kind of guy who likes being pushed around a bit, likes being told what to do, and Veronica is knows what she wants, and she likes doing that. Even if it stresses him out, he seems to overall prefer that. Versus with Betty, where he has to take more responsibility. Yeah. They also make a little bit more of a case why they would like this guy. And that's something in love triangles, when I usually see it, I don't usually get, okay, what's so interesting about the person they're fighting over? I don't usually get it. But here, I think part of it's because the series has the simplicity it is going on for so long. But they do make a little bit more of a case for Archie in that he is the kind of guy, well, one, he's girl crazy, which honestly for me is a huge turnoff, but for some reason this guy, they present him in a way where he's somebody who, he's very non-threatening, he doesn't come across as having an agenda, and he seems very sincere in that he genuinely likes dating, he likes girls. I mean, this is such a G-rated, it's as G-rated as it gets. But there's something, he seems like, I could see him being a very safe person to date. I could see him being the kind of guy who will listen to you. He's not going to push you around. He's not going to pressure you into doing something you don't want to do. But at the same time, then he gets himself in over his head because he's so social. He's such a social guy, and he's charming. I can see that having an appeal to a lot of people. I knew there were certain kinds of guys I knew in high school who had so many female friends. All these girls loved this guy. So I could see Archie being kind of like that. Someone that all the girls kind of like. This very popular, likable doofus guy. Adorkable. Versus other characters where I'm not gonna lie, I don't get it. I don't get it that often with other characters. And love triangles I find tends to slow things down when I'm reading an action book or watching an action show. But that's just my personal taste. I know other people like this trope. Granted, I have stuff that I like over and over again. Namely, the risky business dance. I've been obsessed with that trope lately. Yeah, it's kind of funny how the simplest things last so long. There's something, it is such a crapshoot. You never know what's gonna last, but some things have lasted for years and years and years and you don't realize it. Brady Bunch is another one that is so wholesome, and it seems like it's just that one show, but no, it's not. I think, you know what, that's nice. It's kind of nice to have these pleasant, nice things.